Hello and welcome to my review of Total War 3 Kingdoms' latest DLC, The Furious Wild. In this DLC we gain 4 new playable warlords of the Nanman, starting in southern China. It also introduces a range of 25 new units, including elephants, tigers, and much more. These factions are playable in the 190 and 194 start dates, and follow the same goal to unite the tribes. For this review I'm going to be playing as Lady Zhu Rong, the Goddess of Fire, mainly because she seems totally awesome and has access to tigers right off the bat, which is what I'm all about in this DLC. To be honest, they could have named this the Tiger DLC and I would still buy it. First and foremost, this is a DLC expansion, so the main things I'm going to be looking for here are: do the warlords give new and interesting playstyle? Do these new factions feel integrated into the larger game? And is this DLC worth getting at its increased price tag? The new factions in the Furious Wild don't stray too far from what's already practiced in Three Kingdoms, each faction type having a unique goal. For example, here with the tribes, they have the goal to unite, and then each warlord has a different playstyle. So here we have the Goddess of Fire ability, which allows us to get buffs from our armies when it's active. These change depending on when you activate it in the year. So in winter it's worse, and in the summer it's at its best. It's fairly simple and doesn't seem to have much cohesion in the campaign map. So far I haven't seen anything that can directly impact on how many points you get each turn, and it's very much its own thing. While trying to unite the tribes, there's a new Uniting the Tribes screen, which gives information about each tribes and the benefits of having united them will bring. Mainly research and prestige with all of them, and then unique bonuses like access to their special units or way of life bonuses like income boosts. With the new tribal factions comes a new building tree, or branch. The initial decision to build is the only one you'll get, with no branching out except in the copper and iron settlements, which branch out at levels 4 and 5 respectively. This makes it a rather plain and lacking build tree. For example, the military tree grants bonuses to all limited unit types, which seems rather simple, where you could have instead gone for specialising in one unit or another, which makes the game much more interesting later on. The tech tree is a welcome change to Three Kingdoms' branching tree, and instead replaces it with a beautiful wall of reforms, which can be worked on as and when you see fit, giving much more flexibility to go after something you need right now to give more immediate effects. There are, however, several steps that are decisions, whereby selecting the one you lock yourself out of the other, which I felt was not clear enough on my first playthrough. There are sections that are directly locked until you unite all the tribes, so there's a significant amount you can do after the main objective of the campaign. Moving into battles, we see an entirely new roster with the tribal factions, and have a multitude of different units to choose from, which makes for a welcome change. There is one notable difference. There doesn't appear to be any horse cavalry. Instead, you have access to tigers and elephants, which makes battle play unique, especially with the variety of unit subclasses you can find within these. For example, tigers are hybrid units, as the tigers are much the same throughout either unit, armoured or not. But the handlers are either fighters or ranged units, making them useful once the tigers are let loose. Elephants can be either fighters or support. Fighters can come in different styles: ranged, light combat, heavy combat, much like you'd expect with cavalry. And then there's support. These beasts can give useful and varied buffs on the battlefield with the rhythm of the drum, from fatigue resistance to dealing more damage. Elephants are crucial in winning a battle, and they can be thrown into combat but are surprisingly easy to lose. There are also new battle maps. With being in dense jungle, you'd expect these battle maps to become covered in jungle, thick foliage, and undergrowth. But CA have managed to strike a balance between making these maps visually appealing and actually being able to play them. And with the new siege maps, they are great. The real change between the formulaic grid cities of civilized China, instead here we have a more natural feel, with the use of natural formations of hills, outcrops and forests, creating an engaging and strategically interesting maps. In conclusion, The Furious Wild is a great DLC with a wide variety of changes and new additions. To answer my questions, do the warlords give a new and interesting playstyle? Well, they feel very much their own faction with a distinct flavour and style, but on the campaign map they feel very similar to what we've already had. but being able to shape leaders to be what you want rather than having fixed classes is a great change, and having a different campaign goal is great instead of fighting to lead all of China. Do these factions feel integrated into the larger game? Yes, they adhere to the rules already in place, and feel like they can go toe-to-toe with the civilized warlords. And finally, is the DLC worth its increased price tag? At $14.99, the Furious Wild is nearly double the price of previous DLCs, which is alarming, but once you take a look at how much effort has gone into creating a DLC that works with the main 3K narrative rather than just retelling it, it's an easy purchase to make. And as a person who wasn't too much of a fan of any of the DLCs that Three Kingdoms has had thus far, I think it's safe to say that this one I'm finally excited about.